Roughly 25 years ago, BMW introduced their very first SUV to America called the X5. Now, at the time, BMW annoyingly called it a sports activity vehicle, and since its introduction, this vehicle has grown to become the best-selling BMW across the world. Now, back in 2019, we saw an all-new version of the X5. However, for 2024, BMW is giving the X5 a pretty extensive refresh that includes new styling, front and rear, an all-new interior with the latest xDrive 8 infotainment system, and more power across the board for all its engines. So today we're actually out here at the annual BMW Test Fest event here in South Carolina, and the big question I want answered, has BMW managed to make enough changes to the all-new X5 to keep this model fresh? Stay tuned to find out. So this all-new fourth generation of the BMW X5 has been around since 2019. So what you're looking at here is a pretty heavy refresh of this fourth generation model, which has become essentially one of the best-selling BMWs here in America in the US back in 2022. But before we start talking about the updated styling, let's go ahead and pop the hood and show you guys what's powering this model. Now, BMW offers a choice of several different engines here in the US, from a turbocharged inline-six to a plug-in hybrid to basically two different V8 engines. This model here is essentially one notch below the X5M competition. So what we have here is the M60i. It got a new badge this year to show that it's got a new engine. This is the latest version, a newly developed 4.4 liter twin turbocharged direct injection V8 that's also electrically assisted by a 48 volt mild hybrid system. The M50i from 2023 did not have the mild hybrid system. This engine internally is known as the S68, versus the 2023 model had an N63 engine. So again, it's an entirely new engine. Now, the surprising thing, however, is even though this is a new V8, it has the same power as last year. It's a 523 horsepower, 553 pound-feet of torque. It is augmented by a 48 volt mild hybrid system that delivers 7 horsepower and 147 pound-feet on its own. You technically can't combine the two outputs together. It all goes out through an 8-speed ZF-sourced automatic transmission. The company's xDrive all-wheel drive system is going to be standard when you guys go for this V8 powertrain. Now, in terms of fuel economy, it did go up slightly because of the mild hybrid compared to last year. This model here is rated at 17 in the city, 22 on the highway. Premium gas is going to be required. It has roughly a 22-gallon fuel tank. You're looking at around 400 miles of range on a full tank. Now, BMW says this model should do 0 to 60 in around 4.1 seconds. We'll test it out when we get out on the road. It should have a top speed of around 155 miles an hour, and as it sits, it's a pretty heavy vehicle. It weighs in at around 5,400 pounds. If you guys do need a tow, this is an SUV. With the towing package, it'll tow a maximum of 7,200 pounds, which is pretty average for its segment. But let's go ahead and close up the hood and talk about the exterior styling. Now, I have to say, this model here has a beautiful color combination. It's called Ruby Red Metallic. It's technically an individual color. It's $5,000 extra. It also comes standard with the M Sport package. This one also has the M Sport Professional package that includes some different styling elements here. You can see the twin kidney grills have been updated on this new model. It has a satin black finish to it. It also has active grille shutters. You have the front forward camera system over here. And then you can see here down here on the refreshed model, it also has the black painted areas here in the front bumper. Overall, it definitely is a little polarizing when you first see it in pictures. In person, I have to say, with this Ruby Red Metallic, I think it's actually a really great color combination, especially with the black accents. You have some functional air intakes over here and over here. No actual fog lights on this vehicle, which is surprising to me, but you can see the headlights. These are the full LED headlights, which include a sequential, or it's kind of a sequential LED daytime or turn signal with LED daytime running lights, LED low and high beams. These are technically the upgraded headlights as well that you have to pay extra for on the lower trims. But let me know in the comment section below what you guys think of the revised styling. I definitely think BMW did a great job. The current generation X5 has always been a really handsome vehicle, and I think BMW has just taken it to the next level with this refreshed model. Now, looking at the wheels, you can see BMW offers a choice between either a 19 at the base end all the way up to a 22-inch wheel. This model here has the optional 22-inch wheels for like an extra 2,000 bucks. You can see it has kind of like a two-tone machine and black inner pocket, along with the M Sport brakes with the blue painted calipers, which I believe those are a 6-piston caliper design. You can also get a red painted caliper as well. These tires are 275 by 35 R22. You have an even fatter 315s in the rear. So again, really serious tires to allow for the additional grip. This model is also available with an air suspension. This model here, you can also get it with an adaptive suspension. I think the ground clearance is around 8.3 in this setting. With the air suspension, you can actually jack it up by an extra 3 inches if you guys would like. Although with these big wheels and tires, you're probably not going to be taking this vehicle off-roading. Now, because it's just a heavy refresh, The dimensions haven't changed. This has a 117.1 inch long wheelbase. It's built on the cluster architecture. Its overall length is a little over 194 inches long. So this is a really nice sized vehicle that should work well for a lot of people. If you guys are looking for a third row, however, the third row was discontinued for the 2024 model year, and I suspect BMW did that because the X7 is now in the lineup. The third row was always kind of reserved for children anyways. Now you can see the M Sport model has these M Sport specific mirrors, which are black painted. They're power folding. You have these integrated turn signals. You have more black accents. It's part of the professional package. And then you can see over here, you have a big panoramic glass style sunroof, which lets in a lot of light. It looks really great with the kind of white, ivory white merino full leather of this interior. I love the black accents with this ruby red. It's definitely worth the extra $5,000 in my opinion if you guys are gonna look for a more individual, a more personal, customized color for this vehicle. Now looking at the rear, you can see you have a slightly different design here for the LED taillights, where it kind of creates almost like an X shape to it. At least that's what BMW calls it. I don't really see it. But it definitely also has the smoked out taillight design that's included with the shadow package. You can see there's badging back here where you have an X5 M60i badge where it shows the new powertrain. And then down over here, you can see the diffuser is also a little bit more aggressive. You have this kind of quad outlet exhaust, which is actually 4 pipes, although it's kind of just a little piece in the actual bumper. This does have an M Sport active exhaust and it sounds fantastic. Let's go ahead and fire it up so you can hear how it sounds. So BMW V8s have always had a nice, mean, throaty sound to them, and it's certainly no exception. Even though this isn't the full-on X5M, it still sounds fantastic. Now looking at the cargo area, that split tailgate design that X5 owners love is still apparent here, which is definitely a great design. I love how you can open it up two different ways, where if you open the top portion, all your stuff won't fly out if you've got stuff back here. But the X5, because it's a midsize SUV, has a really good amount of cargo space. You're looking at just under 34 cubic feet of total storage space with the seats folded. Remember, there is no more third row, and I don't know if it's coming back at a later date. BMW hasn't confirmed that. Underneath here, you can see there is a temporary spare tire, which is nice. You don't have to deal with a fix-a-flat kit or run-flat tires. There's a little bit of underfloor storage here. If you fold down the second row seats, BMW says that expands it out to around 72 cubic feet. So 72 cubic feet is actually near the higher end of the class. That's more versus what you're going to get in an Audi Q8. And it's definitely going to be a practical vehicle for those of you who need to use this as a family car. So on the outside, BMW has clearly made a lot of changes that have improved the look of the 2024 X5, but the interior has also seen a pretty big amount of changes as well, and it's all going to be centered around that infotainment screen. Now, when you first get in, it has a nice, easy step-in height, and as I get in and shut the door has a nice, solid sounding thunk, which is great. This model here does have a soft close feature that's part of the executive package for an extra $2,000, so it's great because, again, this is a pretty expensive mid-size luxury SUV. Now, here's the key fob for the vehicle. You can see this is BMW's latest intelligent access key with the kind of M colors there on the key. It's actually a really nice feeling key. It's also lightweight, which is good. It's a little bit large. However, you have your usual lock and unlock buttons. You have your power lift gate as well. There's also a remote start on the fob itself. You can also use your phone as a key if you guys are an owner of the vehicle and use the BMW Connected Services app to access the car. But because this is a press vehicle, it's not mine, to start it up, you have to keep the key fob in here, and then the start stop button here, which is actually covered in glass controls. That's part of the executive package. Just put your foot on the brake, and then the vehicle whirs to life. It doesn't have a traditional starter noise because this is a mild hybrid, which is, again, a huge change from the pre-refresh version, which didn't have the 48-volt mild hybrid system. Now, this interior, as you can see, is absolutely stunning. I love this color combination of the ruby red on the outside with this upgraded smoke white full merino leather interior. This is an extra $2,000. You can see it has the diamond quilting, the contrasting stitching and piping. The leather itself feels really high quality. It feels super supple. These seats adjust, I believe, in 14 different ways. I have two-person memory on the driver's side here. These are also heated and ventilated. What my tester is missing, however, is the massaging seats. That's an extra $1,000 on top of it, which is annoying that it's still extra, but you can see here, in terms of the rest of the materials, when you guys go for the full merino interior, you can see you have actual stitching and leather covering the door panels here, where it's on the upper portion, it's on the lower portion here. It's nice and padded and cushy where you're gonna rest your elbows. There's aluminum accents for the door handle and for the trim. You have window controls, which have a nice high quality feel. They're one touch for all four, which is nice. You have power folding mirrors, and then my tester also has some carbon fiber trim. It's splashed on the door panel and on the dashboard. My Tester also has the Harman Kardon stereo. There is an optional Bowers and Wilkins stereo system with like a 1500 watts of power for an extra $3,400. My Tester is missing that. If you're an audiophile, I highly recommend adding that option, which will also upgrade the ambient lighting and put speaker lights in the actual front speaker grills. Now, looking at the dash here, you can see more of that beautiful actual leather with the contrasting stitching, which is genuine leather. You have a heads-up display, and then this right here is the iDrive 8 infotainment system. Technically, it's not the iDrive 8.5 that we see on the new 5 Series and the 2024 7 Series, but you can see this is a big upgrade versus the iDrive 7 in the pre-refresh model where you had basically two 12-inch displays. Now we have a 12.3-inch display here in the instrument panel and a larger 14.9. It's essentially 15-inch display here. With iDrive 8, it has wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. I love how the screen here just looks really crystal clear in its resolution and the quality. The CarPlay also looks great with the large icons. If you guys don't want to use the CarPlay, you can go back to the BMW system, which you can see also has been updated, where you have all your different sources over here. You can do customization for changing your drive modes and modes, whatnot. You can see there's embedded GPS as well here, which most of you are probably going to end up using the CarPlay anyways for your GPS. I like how the climate stays down here in the lower portion of the screen. But to access things like the heated and cooled seats, you have to go to that climate menu now. You have to use these little buttons here, these touch-sensitive buttons where you can access the heated and ventilated seat options. So that's kind of annoying for those of you who prefer a hard button. You can see BMW has really cleaned up the dash where there's not very many hard buttons in here anymore. The dash vents also have this kind of little joystick where you can toggle it and move it around to adjust the airflow. You can also close it by twisting that to close the air vents. I also like the ambient lighting here where it shows the M badge there to show this is an M60i model. And then down here in the center console, you can see beautiful carbon fiber trim, beautiful aluminum trim, more ambient lighting. You have your wireless phone charging pad here. You have a USB-A charging port here, and then your cup holders. If you want to close this lid, you can see more of that beautiful carbon fiber, along with the controls over here where you have your glass controls. You have an iDrive controller here if you guys don't want to get the touchscreen all dirty. This controls your 8-speed automatic. It's a little crystal toggle here. If I click it all the way up, it goes to your full 360 camera, which, as you can see, BMW does a pretty good job with the camera quality and the resolution. You can also kind of do a perimeter scan around the vehicle to see what's around you. And again, this is all pretty much what you expect from an upscale luxury brand. And you also have their backup assistant where this thing will kind of remember the way that you pulled into a spot, and then it'll back out for you in the same way that you kind of came in. You can also go to your panoramic view here, assist view, which again shows you all these different views. So this is all pretty much what you expect from a vehicle that has a 6-figure price tag. And I think a lot of you are demanding that kind of technology. The steering wheel, you can see, didn't get an update. This is essentially still the same steering wheel, although I do like how there's actual leather stitching along the airbag cover. Paddles on the wheel. You have a power tilt and telescoping steering wheel, which you kind of expect. I like the contrasting colors here for the M, with the M colors. The horn, sounds good. It sounds nondescript, but it also doesn't sound puny. It sounds appropriate given the size of the vehicle. The seats are also very comfortable and supportive. I just wish it had the massaging seat function. And then over here on the center console, open this up, you can see there's a pretty decent amount of storage in there. There's a USB-C charging port. And there's also a little bit of lighting in there, but it's got a good amount of space if you need to cover up the storage. Over here in the glove compartment, you can see it's damped in line with felt. It's kind of a storage style where it's not a glove. It's an interesting design where it gives you more deeper storage in here, but it's also lit up in there, which is great. And then above me here, you can see this model here with the executive package has the sky view glass where it has actual ambient lighting in the glass of the sunroof, which it looks really great at night. I'll have to wait until I get one for a week to show you guys what that looks like. But if you guys don't want all the sunlight in, you can kind of close the shade here. It'll have electric shade that will close it out so you don't have the sun beating down you, although this is already tinted so you don't have to worry too much about that. But overall, the interior still is very familiar, but BMW seriously has upgraded the tech in this car. It'll take a little bit of getting used to if you guys have iDrive 7 because they got rid of a lot of the hard buttons, but overall, build quality is fantastic. The space is good. You can see out of the vehicle really well. And it just kind of gives you that feeling of premium luxury that you expect from a vehicle with a BMW badge. Now moving to the back seat of the 2024 X5. This is a mid-size 2-row SUV, so you expect it to have really good space here in the second row. And I have to say, let me get back here and show you guys this space. This is essentially where I'd have the seat to drive. BMW says there's 37.5 inches of legroom back here, which 37.5 is certainly competitive, but there are some competitors that have closer to 40 inches of legroom. So if you're looking for the biggest back seat, this is not going to give that to you, but you do have some nice touches. So you can see the executive package includes these manual sunshade blockers. You have some actual stitching on the upper door panels and the lower door panels, more of that carbon fiber trim, which is nice. The window controls still have that high quality feel to them, which is great. And you can see here the windows are tinted. The seat itself, you can see it's a bench seat. You can easily fit 3 people across because of how wide the vehicle is. There's also an armrest that folds down where you have some storage here and some cup holders as well, which is nice. Unfortunately, this seat does not recline back. So if you guys want to recline the seat, it doesn't recline, but obviously you can fold down the seat and expand the cargo capacity. And there's also some nice carpeting material here, which is great. In terms of features, there are vents back here. So you have vents on this pillar, and you also have vents here in the center console. You have 4-zone climate control, which is nice. You can see there's your own separate zone for each side of the rear seat, and then you also have heated rear seats, but no cooled seats back here. You can see there's almost an empty button where you could get cooled seats, but I don't think it's available here in the US market. You have 2 USB-C charging ports, a little bit of storage, and a power outlet here. And then you can see here there's an interesting feature where there's a USB here. This is where you actually can get, I believe, a dealer accessory where you can have 2 infotainment screens mounted to the actual seat backs themselves, which is a nice touch. But here above me, the panoramic sky view roof also looks fantastic. It basically goes over to the rear passengers' heads, and you can see for somebody my height, headroom is pretty good. But overall, if you guys are looking for the most spacious rear seat, this is where some of the competitors may have a little bit more rear seat legroom. All right, so here we are in the fully revised 2024 BMW X5, the M60, which is just 1 notch below the X5M. And some of you may be wondering, you may as well just go to the X5M, right? I mean, that has an extra 90 horsepower, but you might be surprised because this model BMW claims will do 0 to 60 in 4.1 seconds. So let's go ahead and see what we can get in our actual real world testing here. It's in Sport Plus and everything, and we're gonna brake torque it and try using the launch control. Oof. You're right there, Bob? I've got my editor right in the front seat next to me. But okay, we just got 4.29 seconds there. I mean, BMW claims 4.1, 4.2. Again, we are in kind of like unfamiliar road areas, so I'm kind of at the mercy of trying to find a decent road for you guys. But that's pretty fast. I mean, the X5M competition, I believe, is about a half a second faster according to BMW's estimates. But I mean, this car, put your foot down. Oof. It literally just puts you back in your seat with a huge like shove of low-end torque because of the mild hybrid system. It also has a nice throaty exhaust sound. This model here has essentially an M-Active exhaust. Now, it's not going to be obviously as loud as like the exhaust system you're going to hear in like the X5M competition, but I have to say it's got a nice throaty sound that's not obnoxious. And that's the thing about some of those M models, they can just be a little too much at times, and this is where this car tries to tailor back the performance a little bit to give you that luxury aspect. And that's, I think, what is a lot of X5, or that's what a lot of X5 buyers are looking for. Now, in terms of the rest of the driving dynamics, this model here that I'm driving, it does not have the 2-axle air suspension. That is an extra charge, I believe. Instead, we have the M adaptive suspension. In Sport Plus on this smooth road, it actually does have a really good ride quality. Remember, we're on these big fat 22-inch wheels on 35 series tires, so you're gonna have to deal with a little bit of, or little to no sidewall protection. But we were on choppier roads earlier, and that's where the car had a really rough ride. So my recommendation, like most of you are gonna drive this car in comfort anyways. The dampers get softer in this mode. So you're gonna notice that the ride is not too horrible in this mode, but really it's just gonna depend on the road surface. My recommendation as well, go for the air suspension if you guys want the most compliant ride quality, because that does make a huge difference. Now, in terms of the driver assistance stuff, this model here has BMW's highway assistance, where you can essentially use this car or drive this car hands-free on the highway. So basically, when you turn the system on, the vehicle will steer itself in the lane, and it also will kind of allow you to go hands-free on certain road conditions. Now, this car does have active lane changing as well. I'll have to retest that at some point when I get one for a full week. But what it is missing is the highway assistance, where you can actually change lanes with your eyes. That's something that's new on the 5 Series and on the i5. but this model here does not have that because, again, it is just a simple refresh. It's technically not the full-on redesign to get the latest tech, but I think this car, in terms of highway cruising, this is where the X5 is going to shine, obviously, because this car is a really nice sized vehicle for the majority of luxury shoppers. As I go around this off-ramp here, you can see this is a 5,300 pound vehicle, and it's definitely heavy. You feel the weight of this car, but it also feels pretty fast. I put my foot down here. Really quick shifts from the 8-speed auto. It's a ZF torque converter automatic, so you're gonna have the smooth shifts in traffic, but it does give, you know, almost dual clutch-like shifts when you guys are driving this in Sport Plus. So again, that's all stuff that people are expecting when you see M badges all over this car. But we'll go back into comfort, we'll settle in. This is where I wish the car had the massaging seat option. It is, again, missing that feature for an extra $1,000. Visibility in here is also very good. You can see out of the front, the side, the rear really well, although I do wish BMW offered a digital camera rearview mirror. For some reason, the Germans are really apprehensive about adding that feature, but I like how I can see out of the front really well. The hood is nice and low. And you still have that sporty exhaust growl in the background that gives you, the nice sounds that you expect when you have a V8 underneath the hood. Now, in terms of fuel economy, this is rated at 17 in the city, 22 on the highway. It's showing around 317 miles of range at 3/4 of a tank. So I expected this car to do around 400 miles of range on a full tank. I'll have to wait until I get one back home to test out for a full week where we can do a more extensive fuel economy testing. This car has roughly a 22-gallon fuel tank, so it's also required to run on premium. It's definitely not going to be cheap. The mild hybrid aspect obviously helps, but this is where the 6-cylinder X5 is going to have better fuel efficiency. You may want to also consider the plug-in hybrid model to get the best fuel efficiency as well, but this is going to be slightly more fuel efficient than the V8 X5M competition. But just kind of keep in mind, if you guys want a V8, you have to pay extra for that V8 at the pump and at the price tag, but that's comfort mode. It's still really freaking fast. So I'm gonna miss cars like this in the future because everything's going electric, but this V8 is just a gem. It's an absolute gem. And for those of you who think you need to have the X5M competition, take the M60i for a drive because this should offer all the performance that most people are gonna want. It has the handling, it has the luxury aspect, it has the technology. And I just think BMW has done a really fantastic job with the refresh of this car. So with over 82,000 units sold in America in 2022, the X5 was definitely one of BMW's best-selling vehicles in the States, and it's pretty easy to see why. The pre-refresh model was a really great addition when BMW first introduced it back in 2019. It was basically the near-perfect mid-size luxury SUV for a lot of people because of its blend of comfort, luxury, technology, and of course the signature BMW driving dynamics. And after spending some time with the refresh model, everything that I loved about the pre-refresh model is essentially apparent here. I love the fact that BMW has added more power across the board. I love the fact that they added their new iDrive 8 infotainment system. It really needed that new software upgrade along with the bigger screens. And I also love the fact that they are increasing the power and the range of the plug-in hybrid model. Now, obviously, I wasn't able to drive the plug-in hybrid in this review, but for those of you who are trying to consider the V8 version of this car, the M60 version is definitely a unique option because for those of you who basically want a fast X5 with a V8 underneath the hood, this essentially saves you like $30,000 compared to the X5M competition. Now, obviously, you do give up around 90 horsepower with this model, but as you guys saw, the 0 to 60 performance in the low 4-second range or under 4 seconds, depending on road conditions, really shows off the performance and how BMW really underrates their engines. The ride quality of this model also is extremely good, especially when you have it in its comfort setting. These 22-inch wheels do make it a little bit stiff in the sport setting, but I do think that this model is the more comfortable option versus the X5. And really the only downside, or versus the X5M, and really the only downside with this model here is obviously the pricing, because with the new version here, with the updates that BMW has made, they have clearly made the X5 more expensive. And if you guys want to get your hands on a base X5 with the 6-cylinder and rear-wheel drive, pricing will start at $65,200. That's plus a $1,000 destination charge. Add $2,000 if you guys want all-wheel drive. So you're essentially spending around 70 grand for the base end with an all-wheel drive X5. Now, if you guys want the plug-in hybrid model, that'll cost you around $72,500. The V8 version, this model here, will start at just under 90 grand at $89,200. That's again, plus the $995 destination. Now, my tester here with the executive package, the driver assistance professional package, the M Sport professional package, the $5,000 for the color, the destination charge, the $2 grand for the ivory white full merino leather interior. This one is pretty well equipped, although it's still missing things like the massaging front seats. This model here comes in at just over $105,000, $105,745. So again, a lot of money, but keep in mind, this is a V8 with over 500 horsepower. This has more power versus the Mercedes GLE 580 and the Audi S8. So that's something to be said about BMW, and it really just kind of fills a sweet spot in the lineup for those of you who don't want to spend the $130,000 for an X5M, but you still want a V8, but you want something that's a little bit more comfortable and a little bit less track focused. But with all that said, hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on the fully revised 2024 BMW X5 M60i. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and as always guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.